Okay, so Kay, I believe that we are live right now.
Welcome. Okay,
I
let
believe so.
I'm going to share the link with folks on my channel now.
Perfect.
Guys, so great to have everybody. I'm
I
excited.
know. Okay, so Kay, I believe that okay. We are live now. I believe so.
Share the link with folks on my
Okay, perfect.
channel. Okay, I did it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so people, let me just get to the chat.
Yeah, Max is always here. Max, how are you? Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Max always on point right now.
Thank you. So nice to see you, Max, and meet you. Hi, Pamela. Hopefully you're staying safe out there in Cali.
Hey, Becca. Welcome.
Hi, Doreen.
Doreen. New York, New York. Oh, this is perfect. Guys, when you put in your when you're saying hello in the chat, let us know where you're piping in from, tuning in from. So we've had Cali, we've had New York. I am great, Max, and feeling even better to be here with K Moon because there's so many interesting things that are happening this year, and I am just excited to see what the astrology is saying about, well, definitely union windows, but exactly the direction the collective is heading in and what we're meant to be kind of transmuting or powering through this year. So I'm really excited to introduce K Moon. And she really needs no introduction because Kay, I always talk about Kay and I believe in her as an astrologer. She's just absolutely amazing. And just personally, she's a powerhouse. And just a story about coming into her own and doing spiritual work is also a powerful one because she also made a shift from corporate to doing spiritual work, following her heart, following her intuition. So I'm just excited for her to be here. And I think Kay, whilst we may wait on people to come to the live, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you came to be an astrologer on YouTube. You might need to unmute yourself, Kay.
Absolutely. A bit of a
Okay.
funny background story to that. So most of it, I had been clairaudient for, I would say almost like 5 to 7 years
Right.
before this, and on a spiritual path long before I had met my counterpart. I actually found
Right.
many years later that actually my first kind of real relationship in high school was a 6 year long relationship. We carried it into college,
Yeah.
and I had Charlotte look at it all these years later, and as it turns out, that person was also another divine feminine energy. And
Wow.
yeah,
Very nice.
and I didn't know that at the time, but it was such a deep, intense spiritual connection. And
Yeah.
from that point on, from about the time I was 16 on, it's just been a tremendous journey of spiritual awareness, awakening, and opening in my life. So,
Yeah.
fast forward all these years later in my 30s, when I meet my counterpart, when I walk into it, as all of us do, with so much pain, suffering, trauma, drama, hurt,
Yes.
needed healing, doing my best, not thinking there was anything quote unquote wrong with me. What ended up happening was I broke up with him. We got in a relationship and I broke up with him ooh, maybe 3 times over the course of a year. Um, Not because he was doing anything specifically bad or wrong or like the relationship wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
I had been in relationships well past their expiration date so many times, holding on, working on,
Yes.
feeling it, trying to fix it.
Yes.
At the time I got to my mid 30s, I said, you know what? I refuse to be that person anymore. I'm just going to start calling it and trust that there are other fish in the sea. Boy, was I in for a rude awakening. I had no idea that everything that I had been through up until that point, all the skills and tools I had amassed to facilitate, create, and extend a relationship were going to
Yes.
be necessary in moving through my twin flame experience.
Yeah.
So this beautiful soul whom let me be clear.
Yeah.
I knew love. I had been in love. I
Yes.
know for a fact what love was before I met this man. But when I met him, it was like moving from canned tuna to caviar. That was the distinction.
Oh my goodness.
So when we had that final break and he was like, girl, you ain't gonna be toxic with me no more. Knock it off. When he finally was like, I've had enough. And I was like, I need to figure out what's wrong. Like, what's going on over here? Why can't I put this down?
Yes.
Um, I had to move across the country in order to be able to do it.
Mm.
Because I knew had I stayed in the city where we were both living,
Yeah.
I would have called him up. I would have gone back over
Of
to his
course.
place. I would have been like, let's try and figure this out. I was
Hmm.
like, you literally cannot have proximity to this person if you don't want to do this anymore. So I picked
Hmm.
up, I moved across the country. I went to a meditation school where I began to open my clairvoyance, which only enhanced my clairaudience and clairsentience. And the dark night of the soul began. And the first feeling was a deep longing for God and feeling like I wanted to go home. Like I missed God and I didn't understand why I had to be separate.
Really?
That broke into an understanding and awareness that I was still very much in love with this man. That broke into a sensation of feeling like I was in some sort of like prison, jail.
Wow.
Um, and my clear audience, my guidance team began to talk to me about the astrology. I already kind of had been teaching myself astrology since before I met him, but there was an acceleration at this point. And they started to show me where to look to understand him and to understand me, and that was Juno,
Right.
wife of Jupiter, the divine feminine. I didn't even know she was the divine feminine when they started guiding me to look at her. And Jupiter, the divine masculine. They said, look here and look
Hmm.
here so you can understand you and him. And I was like, I don't understand why, but I just paid attention. Many months later, I got a reading with somebody who's sporadically on YouTube, Ray of Light Tarot, beautiful.
Yes.
And I never heard these words until they came out of his mouth. He pulled some cards for me and my guy and was like, this looks like a twin flame connection and it feels like one too. Do you know what that is, Kay? And I said, what? And he was my messenger, Ray of Light Tarot. Did a quick Google search, saw some things about chasing and running and toxic pull, and my guides were like, close out of that. And they educated me. And the things that they told me became the first channeled messages on my YouTube channel.
Right.
Why the runner runs, me. Um, we always think it's them. It was me.
No. Mhm.
Why twin flames come together and some don't, right? Some choose not to follow the path. It's a hard path. And I think there was a third one that they gave me. It was like, is your divine masculine toxic? He doesn't mean to be. And so there was all of this growth that was happening. And the only thing that eased the sensation of feeling like I was in some sort of prison was sharing what was shown with to me. And
Really? Mm,
yep, that was 2018. And here we are now
yeah,
in
we are.
2025, 7 years later.
Wow. Beautiful story. Beautiful story. You know, 2025, when we break it down, it's a number nine here. So it talks about the hermit and the self and the journey of self-discovery. So how does that dovetail into what you're seeing astrologically for this year?
Funny you should ask.
Share your screen.
Let's get into it, shall we, guys? Shall we go there today?
We
OMG.
should. We definitely should.
What an
We
intense.
definitely should. Because I heard you talking about union windows and all that, but how does that dovetail into this number nine year?
Yeah. So let me hang on one second. Let me get us there. Um, I'm going to bring us here into this year. Where is the pre-shadow retrograde? There we go. So if you're not familiar with astrology, you don't have to worry about trying to follow along. Oh, I sent a request to share
Okay,
screen.
I was just looking for it actually.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. So if you're not familiar with astrology, don't worry about it. You'll be able to follow along in the narrative of what I am telling you. You don't need to be able to know for sure what all the sigils mean, but if you are a student of astrology, this will be helpful for you to kind of just extend your awareness and understanding of the journey as well. So here's 2025. There's Jupiter, the energy I consider divine masculine. Here's Juno, the energy I was told to read as divine feminine. Husband and wife of the zodiac, god and goddess of Mount Olympus. Juno is here at the first degree of Sagittarius as of March 19th, preparing or going retrograde. She's going to back up into the sign of Scorpio. Now we're already under the influence of this energy. Juno is moving forward in Scorpio toward that first degree of Sagittarius. Now, this makes for a very interesting divine feminine journey. In Sagittarius, where she goes to the very first degree before she turns around, Sagittarius is our sign of hope, faith, optimism, and truth. It's the thing that we know that we know that we know to our bones. But
Right.
before we get there, we spend an extended period of time in Scorpio where Juno goes forward, retrogrades back, and then goes
Mhm.
forward again. And Scorpio is the sign that deals with the shadow,
Right.
pain, shame, fear,
Mhm.
rage, our physical intimacy, trauma,
Right.
and all of our shadow behaviors, including lies, lies to ourselves, lies to others. And so Juno will go spend this extended period of time in Scorpio, bringing into the divine feminine energy field an opportunity to utilize that nine energy that you just mentioned. And I
Yeah.
know nine to be a number of completion.
Yes.
Scorpionic energy is an energy that facilitates closure, endings, death. So before we have this reemergence as twin flames into an energy that's all about truth, faith, hope, and optimism, we go through this death passage where we get to put an end to any of those energies that I just mentioned: shame, fear, rage, trauma,
Mhm.
pain, suffering, lies, and deception that are holding us back from our own union. And
Mhm.
so we have this deeper period of time. Now, I know many of you are already thinking, but Kay, I've been doing my shadow work. What more shadow work can I do? I'm over it. And I
Um,
get it. I get it. For those of you who are in that place, and I know if you're here, that's definitely you. May does not invite us to do anything else. She invites us to become whole by embracing all of ourselves and understanding who we truly are in our spiritual journey. And so you've been doing the work already. For many who've already been doing the deeper work, this period of time is instead really going to be focused on that physical intimacy aspect of Scorpio. So, dealing with any sacral chakra blocks, any trauma that may be related to physical intimacy from childhood or other experiences. This also may be about just coming home to yourself as a sexually alive and awakened physical being. The sacral chakra is that chakra energy for creativity, both in whether you were born male or born female or identify as anything else in between at this point. It's that
mhm.
sacral chakra that generates creativity. And so this period of Juno and Scorpio will really be about cultivating through your inner divine feminine energy. And we all have both masculine and feminine.
Mhm.
What do I want to create? And what creations have I either abandoned, already completed, or am I midway through that I am also done with so that I can have room for the platform of my union to show in the exterior world? Now, some of you are working, there's 5 different types of union. I've talked about this over in my channeled messages on K Moon Astro. There's a whole channeled messages playlist. If you're not over there with me, this is my invitation to you to join me over there. In those channeled messages, you will see there's the different types of union: union with self. Some of you will be cultivating that. Union with a partner. Some of you are already in that place where there's a lot of proximity, communication, connection in the third dimension between you and your person, and it's about stabilizing it. Others of you are in that place of union with the divine, coming to understand God within and God without, God and all, so that you can have an experience of that heaven on earth through the vehicle of your body. Others, this is the fourth type of union, union with a soul group. Many of you, since the pandemic, have shed friends, close ones, when they feel like they're no monad, they've left. And here you are working to understand, who am I now, and calling forward soul group and community to move into the next season and chapter of your life. And still others are working union with mission. This is the fifth type of union. And so coming into awareness, recognition, and understanding that this love, the container for this love, isn't just you and another person, it's you and the world. And sharing the light and the love with the world in such a way that upon your departure from your earthly vehicle, the world is left a better place than you came into it because you were here. So
Hey,
different
before you
people.
move on, can I
Yes.
ask you, so
Yeah.
isn't that, do you think, well, from your point of view, do you think that we're all here on earth to experience all these different types of unions, or are people working on a specific type of union in a particular lifetime, or are twins meant to power through all 5 of these
You know,
through their connection with their divine counterpart?
I love that question. So, what my guidance team has always told me, what has been transmitted to me via the Holy Spirit, it for us every single person, whether you are a twin or not, identify as
Yes.
divine counterpart, soulmate. I'm agnostic around the label. What I will say is
Yes.
that we have this opportunity based on
Mhm.
our light work, what we came here to do,
Yes.
the way shower, and our learning why we're here and what we're going to get in exchange for what we're giving. All things on earth exist in that exchange. Every
Yes.
has that level of purpose where it's give and receive. And so, depending on your light work and leadership, maybe one, maybe three, maybe all,
Yes.
maybe two, right? You'll know by listening inwardly, especially as you cultivate specifically the union with self component.
Yeah. That feels aligned to me. That feels right.
Yeah,
That feels right.
great question.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much
Mm-hmm.
for asking
Mm-hmm.
that. And that brings
So
us
let's go back to what you were saying.
here. And so here is Scorpio, right? It is this ending and closure energy, and it's also an energy of cultivation. It's no accident. It is represented in the tarot by the death card. The cycle here is completion, integration and learning, and then resurrection in a new format. And so all those different scorpionic themes that I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
We all, depending upon what your connection needs from you, not your person, your connection. And there's a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending upon what your connection needs from you, you will work that process while Juno is retrograde. So I want to pause here and give you guys some key dates to be paying attention to over the course of this Juno retrograde. So let me just open that up for us. Oh boy, I think I might have deleted it on accident. Hang on. If you would do me a favor, I'm going to read the dates out, but if you would do me a favor and just add them to the chat for people, I will also send them to you for the description box. So if people want to copy
Got
and
it.
paste it to their notes as they listen to the
Sure.
recording, they can. So we went into what is called the pre-shadow period on for Juno in Scorpio on December 21st of 2024.
Okay.
Pre-shadow is when themes that we are going to need to work on during a Juno retrograde will appear. I also forgot to mention something super key and important about Scorpio. Scorpio is the arena of what astrology calls other people's money. So this is taxes, loans, mortgages, debt, credit, inheritances. Some of you know that there's codependency with an ex that's stopping you from being able to really fully move forward from a place of independence with counterpart. That block will need to get worked on during this period of time, as a for example. Okay, that would have shown itself as early as December 21st. Then we have the Juno retrograde. That is on March 19th through July 10th. After the themes have shown themselves between December 21st and March 19th through July 10th, we roll up our sleeves, we start to do whatever the work is, right? Like I said, for some of you, this is about just like really coming home to yourself as a sensual, physical being, becoming alive again in that way. Many have frozen or iced their sexuality throughout this healing process because it's felt like cheating on their counterpart to be with somebody else. It's felt disloyal and dishonest to the heart. And that's normal in the twin flame experience. But what I will say is that this isn't about finding another person to share your physical intimacy with.
Mm.
This is about cultivating your intimacy for yourself. You are your own first sexual partner. And so
Right.
finding and exploring and cultivating your inner sense of sacral chakra flame, and it's the spiritual and the physical, really knowing your anatomy, really understanding what's pleasurable to you, healing your own blocks to your own physical pleasure and sensuality is going to be key for a lot of people. And that would have shown itself as early as December 21st. March 19th through July 10th is where we begin to dive into the work. Then we have Juno going direct on July 10th of this year. July 10th, she goes into post retrograde shadow. And July 10th through October 5th is where we create conclusion with these themes. So the themes that we worked on over the course of the retrograde, we'll see the intensity begin to wane as solutions get implemented, practiced, decisions get made to facilitate forward movement. July 10th through October 5th. And October 5th, she comes out of retrograde. But the fabulous thing about this is that right as she's wrapping up retrograde, and I'll show you guys in the chart in a moment, she comes into harmonious placement with Jupiter and a union window opens. So that's the divine feminine journey for 2025, the first part. We'll talk about that union window in a moment, but I want to pause here and just ask, got any questions about those dates or things like that? Anything that I should speak to?
One moment. Give me the date for the union window again, sorry.
I didn't give that yet.
Oh, because I was busy typing in the chat, and the
You're
last thing I
doing
was the
great.
Juno direct. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I see it here.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Guys, do you guys have any questions for Kay on what she just shared?
Yeah. This journey's a big deal in the divine feminine energy fields.
And
Um,
Kay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I will say this, and we'll look at the divine masculine energy in a moment because
Hmm.
it's on a very different journey this year. Thank God, because we can't both have y'all in this heavy scorpionic. It's not going to work. Somebody's got to bring some levity to the connection, and thankfully, it'll be coming from the masculine side. But I will say that we all have both energies. That's the first. The second thing it's important to listen for in your inner awareness, especially if you have been identifying as a divine feminine or
Yes,
a divine
that's
masculine
good. Mhm.
exclusively in one form of the gender, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The more you anchor as a soul or exclusive gendered energy, I'm the divine feminine, they are the divine masculine. I got to be honest, the more intense 2025 is going to be.
gotcha.
So what I challenge those of you who are here to do is to listen, because we're going to talk about that divine masculine journey for the year in a moment. Listen for the ways that the divine masculine energy has already been at work in your life and within you personally. Start finding how you identify with that energy personally.
Hmm.
That's going to help you cultivate union within. And that will also create a relief valve for you should this scorpionic energy get too intense over the course of the first 6 months of 2025. Okay.
Gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Um,
But I just want to share that everything that you've been saying so far has really resonated with me because I've been doing a lot of work around shame and especially shame in terms of my sexuality because I've always seen my sexuality as a destructive force, and not a creative force. And maybe that's some messaging that we get from society that it's something that needs to be hidden, controlled, only acceptable when it is in a particular context, that kind of thing. So I've been trying to just do some work around that. And then exactly what you mentioned, you know, how do I express myself when thinking about being with other people feels like betraying my heart, that kind of thing. So thank you for talking about that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Really, really good. So keep all of this in mind as you go. For everyone, it won't be everything all at once. Your life
Yeah.
will present to you what it is that your connection, again, not your person, your connection. If you need me to speak on the distinction, happy to do so. Just let me know either in the comments there, those of you who are listening, or let me know in the, you let me know as well, Made. Okay,
Okay.
so come out of that. Okay, here we go. So I want to come over here now. We are going to talk about what, okay, so this what the divine feminine is doing between now and July 10th. So it covers the first 6 months of the year. Then we break into this union window. Let's talk about what the divine masculine is doing. And then we'll talk about this union window energy, okay? Because that really
Gotcha.
takes us in the tail end of the year.
Mm.
So divine masculine energy is in Gemini and has been in Gemini since last June. Gemini energy is a very different frequency than scorpionic energy. Thank the sweet baby Jesus. In the world of astrology, they are considered in conjunct, meaning they are in a type of conversation astrologers call no conversation, roughly 150 degrees apart. Uh, Scorpionic energy is an energy, and let me just pull up the retrograde chart instead of this one. Give me one moment. Retrograde chart. I want to get to the post shadow. Let's try that one because that'll show Juno back at the furthest degree that she'll be at. Oh, that shows the divine masculine in a different place. We'll stick with the one we were on. My apologies, y'all. Here we go. The thing about scorpionic energy is that, or Gemini energy, is that Gemini energy loves to go wide rather than deep. And there's always a time and a place for that. There's a reason we would need to be explorers. There's a reason we would need to be curious. That's Gemini energy. There's reason for not making a decision, for needing to see what all is out there and delay decision making. Decision making is actually one of the key features of the opposite sign, Sagittarius. But Gemini energy says, why make one? Why decide on one when I can have both? Twins, the sign of duality. So the divine masculine energy has been working since last June, this 1 year window, June to June, energy of exploration, curiosity, um, inquisitiveness, seeing what the options are, what's available, looking outward, communication. Gemini is one of our communication signs. It's the communication sign of talking more than writing. So, speech. Some of you may have found through this period of time you've been working with like a talk therapist, or you have been talking to more friends. Gemini governs siblings, cousins, and neighbors. Some of you are reestablishing through your divine masculine energetic field that monad, that soul group, that union with community again, finding soul family and soul tribe as your divine masculine energy has transited through Gemini. Okay. So this is a wonderful energy because Gemini also brings a levity. There's a lot of humor in Gemini energy, a lot of willingness to see things from both sides of the coin. There's also a lot of mirroring in Gemini energy. And in this way, the divine masculine energetic fields can at times deeply mirror what's going on in the divine feminine energy fields, right? And so you may find that if you've been holding back, waiting for your person to contact you or waiting to see what they're going to do, Gemini, twins, mirrors,
Mhm.
they may have been doing the same thing, right? And if you've gotten any readings from Maid from last June to this June, she probably has pointed out to you, you know, there's a mirror here and this is what it is. Okay. So there's been some heavy mirroring since last June to this June of 2025 between counterparts. Now, if you're not quite clear what the mirroring is just yet, trust me, this Juno retrograde in Scorpio will tell you. It'll reveal it. But we're 6 months into a 12-month transit of Jupiter in Gemini. There should be some revelation about this already. And if that's not there, I strongly encourage you to book a reading, book some time with
Mhm.
either myself or Made for Love. I will be reopening twin flame readings, relationship readings, the closer we get to the retrograde. And Made, next time you open readings, if you know, I encourage you guys ask, like, what's the mirror between my counterpart and I? What do I need to do? What do I need to work on? What do I need to see or understand about why we are where we're at in connection that we have in common? Mirroring is very heavy with Jupiter in Gemini. Now, there's some shadow parts to Jupiter in Gemini that can unfold as well as the light, and we see things such as triangulation, uh, deception. We can see that non committalness start to show up there as well. But mostly these are things because the Gemini energy really wants to protect the opportunity to have as many options as possible available before making a decision. And so, if you take this out of the arena or the realm of relationship, and you place this in the arena of, say, career or service or volunteer work or career, educational path. Some of you may have taken on like a double major in school. Some of you may be feeling like my best friends want me to choose between them, but I love them both. So I'm working on creating harmony between the three of us, right? These sorts of things. Okay. I'm going to pause there for questions about the divine masculine journey in the first 6 months of 2025. Any questions anyone has? Made any thoughts?
Well, I see Pamela's commented that what you just described sounds like her journey for the past year. So
Mm.
it looks like a lot of people have already been feeling these energies and doing work around this.
Very common for those who are way showers to
Mm-hmm.
experience the energy first astrologically, just
Mm-hmm.
ahead of the collective, so that as friends, family, loved ones, soul group goes through it,
Mm-hmm.
you will have come out the other side with a little wisdom that can be imparted. It's
Okay.
very common. I see that a lot.
Makes sense.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Oh, go, Max. Get that doctorate.
Do your thing, Dr. Metz.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the energy on the masculine and the feminine sides. There's also been, I will say, a lot of communication over the last year for the divine masculine from Chiron to Jupiter. Now, Chiron is the energy of The chironic journey operates in triplicate. So the first part of the journey is the journey where he was rejected and abandoned by both of his parents. He was
Yes.
he's both human and God. He's the son of Zeus. And so there is this energy of being abandoned, rejected, and then singled out by others, unwanted by others. That's the first part of the Chironic journey. And that part is really amplified as Chiron has been in Aries since 2018. But this year, Chiron has been sextile Jupiter, allowing the divine masculine energy to move into the energy of Chiron in light. So the second part of Chiron's journey was one of being adopted, taken in, educated by adoptive parents in a period of deep learning and growth in intellectual capacity. So this is part of the light side of Chiron is learning, education.
Right.
The final piece of the Chironic journey is the part where Chiron then became a leader, teacher, healer, guide to other people. Before in all of the major epics, Chiron appears as someone with wisdom to impart to some of the great heroes of the Greek mythologies before or in the middle of their journey. Chiron shows himself at a turning point, providing either wisdom or a tool or a healing that allows the hero to continue their journey in a way that changes the outcome. So many have stepped into as Chiron has been sextile Jupiter since last, as it's come into uh, Gemini, the late degrees of Gemini. This would have been sort of last fall in the northern hemisphere. So roughly about September-ish, August timeframe. Chiron and Jupiter have been in this conversation. Sextile makes it easy to get the light side of the Chironic journey where you're educating, guiding, leading, teaching, imparting tools and wisdom to that Gemini soul group, siblings, cousins, neighbors, soul family. Okay. So many of you have been doing that as well. And some of you have been on a journey to get and receive that for yourself. Really get the healing, the guidance, the teaching, the leading that you need from someone who, at this inflection point in your life, without what they've given you, your life would have been on a very different track. And so, this Gemini energy is also about this learning component. It's enhanced as Chiron's spoken to Jupiter. So, really, in pivotal time, there's a lot of expansiveness and consciousness in the divine masculine energetic fields. And that creates a counterbalance of levity. If you know anything, if you've ever ridden a bike, you know one foot is up while the other pedals down and then they reverse,
Yeah.
right? This is sort of the feminine and masculine journey in this first 6 months of this year. So I want to stop there. And then now we'll talk about this union window energy and where the counterparts land at the end of the first 6, 7 months of this year, because they land in a very beautiful place. Okay.
Bring it on, Kay.
Awesome. Let me find the post shadow chart that I created for us and share that. Here we go. All right. So now we're at July 11th when the counterparts are done being retrograde. Okay. If you guys haven't hit the like button already for Made for Love, please do that. If you're new here, definitely subscribe to the channel. It's going to assist this content getting into circulation for people who need it. We always appreciate that. So here is July 11th. Hooray! There's Juno. The divine feminine is done with retrograde. And as she's done, she's conjunct Lilith and Vesta, which I think is very interesting if you know anything about the Lilith story.
Yeah.
Um, she was kicked out of the garden as Adam's first wife. Eve was her replacement because she refused to lay underneath him, so the text says, and that's really all we get. But if you know anything about female anatomy or you've ever spoken to a sex counselor or coach, they'll tell you that women tend to achieve the most physical pleasure and specifically orgasm when they are on top. My suspicion is that Lilith's build wanted her to be physically on top, which is why she
Mhm.
probably did not want to lay underneath,
Okay.
number one. But what that gives us in the mythology for us on this side is a recognition that Lilith wants to be included in the pleasure. She wants to be included in the fun. She wants to feel as good as her mate, as her partner. So I find it very interesting that Lilith is conjunct Juno at the tail end of her retrograde in the sign that deals with physical intimacy. This is a beautiful signal that whatever we needed to learn through through Scorpio around self-inclusion in our own pleasure, our own physical pleasure, right?
Mhm.
Not being the sacrificial lamb at work, at home, in our marriage, in our friendships with our family,
Mhm.
being allowed to feel as good as everyone else we serve or make feel good or connect with, right? We brought in this understanding. This is what Juno will have learned by the time her retrograde has completed. Okay. She's also next to an energy known as Vesta. Vesta is the energy of like temple fire. The Vestal virgins guarded that temple fire. And so we've cultivated this sacred fire within. Not only that, but Vesta is the energy of vows and dedication. There's this new dedication and commitment to self inclusion and pleasure inside the divine feminine energy fields as she has completed her time in retrograde in Scorpio in 2025. So it's a beautiful conclusionary energy there. Okay.
Mhm.
Lots of reward there. Now we see her in communication, ta-da, with the divine masculine who has transitioned out of Gemini and into water sign Cancer.
Oh.
Really love this energy. So this is July. She's come out of shadow. And now they are in what we call a trine. Whenever you see divine masculine and feminine in the same element, both in a water sign, both in a fire, both in an earth sign, both in an air sign, they open up what astrologically is called a union window, meaning the energy between the two of them collides. It flows from one to the other unobstructed. Okay, that's the astrological meaning of the trine. In these union windows, because the energy flows between masculine and feminine in an unobstructed way, this gives us the opportunity to experience ease in reaching out, communication, harmony for those who are already in some sort of communication. Union windows are periods of time where the stars make it very easy for us to harmonize with our counterpart in the third dimension in material form. Now, does it guarantee you're going to get into union? No. Can you get into union outside of union windows? Absolutely. But what union windows do is they place wind in our sails. They give us the opportunity to have astrological support, unobstructed flow of energy. Okay. Now, if you or your person obstruct it with your free will, you're going to have to figure that out, right? But the stars will be doing their part in making it easy and not pulling your attention elsewhere to focus on other things. It's a
Right.
period of time where you may feel like it's very easy to focus on one another. Okay. But what I've noticed is that the periods outside of the union windows, the things that precede the union windows. So all this time, Jupiter expanding consciousness in Gemini and really working on that soul group sort of stuff. And all this time that Juno's going to spend deepening her understanding of all things second chakra, dealing with fears, dealing with money, things in the material realm. That time is actually the setup that prepares you to have any blockages removed from your side of the connection so that the union window can be as harmonious as possible. And for those who are already in some format of union, whether it's just communication or you spending time together or you're in a committed partnership, that time before the union window, so everything leading up to it, it's critically important because you do that work before, during the union window, the connection takes a step forward. Okay. So the non-union window time and the union window time equally important, but waiting for July to hit and letting life run amok and have its way with you until then is a guaranteed way that you'll just be frustrated when the union window arrives.
Gotcha.
Okay. Stars are trying to help. We got to step up and help ourselves.
Facts.
Okay. So let me tell you, this continues. That's July. The two of them stay in harmony. Me sharing there. The two of them stay in harmony um, for a while. Let's just see here. Display transits. I'm going to get out here to the 10th month. Right around here, right around 10/10. So October 10th and a little bit after. This is the completion of the union window. So I'm at October 10th, 2025. Juno will have moved into Sagittarius. She's roughly 10 degrees away from, if you're an astrologer, this will make sense. If you're not, don't worry about it. Just pay attention to the date. From her trine point here with Jupiter at the 20th or in the 23rd degree of Cancer, because she will have slid about 9 degrees away here. It'll be 10 degrees in another couple of days. Because she will slide out of position in the union window, she then continues her learning journey into the sign of faith, hope, and optimism and goals. She'll get a nice taste of what's next and then she'll move forward. I want to take us out of the 10th month and I want to go into the 11th month. Here she is inside of beautiful Sagittarius, continuing to move forward. I believe she remains there through roughly the end of the year. Yeah. Now we're at December 11th, and we see that she's remaining there in Sagittarius. They're back in a position that astrologers call the inconjunct, which is what we call like the no conversation. It doesn't mean that you won't be communicating. I repeat, you can stay in communication even though the planets aren't. You can be. This is how we transcend our astrology. And then we get to the very last day of 2025. We see the divine masculine in Cancer continuing his journey. She is here moving into Capricorn and they slide into an oppositional energy. In Cancer, let's talk about what this means for the divine masculine side of the connection and your energy. In Cancer, which Jupiter gets into in the month of June and then remains June 2025, June 2026. Jupiter remains in the sign of Cancer. In Cancer, in Gemini, we had expansion of consciousness. In Cancer, we have expansion of emotions. Water sign Cancer is known for its allowance or its aid for us, congruence with emotional truth, emotional realities, emotional awareness and understanding. Emotional congruence is really important. And so, if there was any shadow side of Gemini for Jupiter, the divine masculine, which would be like double mindedness, right? Contradicting ourselves, that stuff gets cleaned up as Jupiter moves into Cancer and forces our hand with emotional congruence in our reality. Okay. Again, participating in the energies goes a very long way. Looking for your own inner divine masculine reality, working with the energy intentionally, your own inner divine feminine reality, working with that energy intentionally. The stars are always presenting both to us. They give us the opportunity to see both. It's up to us to work both rather than anchor ourselves exclusively just in divine feminine or just in divine masculine. If you're liking what you hear and you're new to me, thank you so much for being here today. My name is K Moon. I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. You can find me at kmoonastro.com. I'll link it in the chat just a moment. I do
Put it
have,
there already.
oh my God, I love you.
So we get to go.
I love you. I have a special going on for new clients. If you would like to get a reading with me so you can understand these energies at work in your life, in your chart, use the code FIRST15, FIRST 15 for 15% off your first reading with me. I do 30-minute and 60-minute readings. Um, if you want to use that now for a personal reading, we could look at your own inner divine feminine and masculine energy at this time, preparing you for the Juno retrograde. And then later on in the year, as we get closer to the union window, I will have relationship readings open and we can look at your chart, your counterpart's chart, and the chart of what I call the union. The union is the day, the time, and the place. The two, you and your person first met. Even if it's online, that's okay. I just need where you happen to be the day and the day you first met. That lets me know and will let you know kind of the narrative arc of where it is that your connection is at now, where it's been, and where it's headed. Thank you so much for linking my YouTube channel there, Made for Love. I'm going to
Yes.
add my website, and I'll also leave it in the description box with Made for Love so that you're welcome to book whenever you're ready. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here. And before you go, like, guys, K Moon is not just an astrologer. She is a beautiful medium and a channel. And that's why I'm going to ask her this question. So, when we talked about October and that beautiful energy coming in, that twins are grounding, well, yes, twins are grounding faith, hope, and optimism. I always think that twin flames are always kind of grounding this energy into our reality, whatever energy it is, into our reality, into our world, into the earth, and into the earth's grid. I don't know. Have you looked at the astrology for the planet this year? And just in a nutshell, can you just tell us what to expect? Just really briefly. I know it's
I
not part of the best dates for love,
it,
but
but okay, well,
but
hang on.
okay,
Oh, let me be I'm going to be really transparent
do
about
it.
some of the stuff that I've seen in private sessions with clients.
Yeah,
Not all twins are always grounding faith, hope, and optimism. I wish we were.
I got you.
I do, because
No,
we're
but
so
no, but I think whatever we are vibrating and we're grounding. So I'm happy
correct.
that we're grounding faith, hope, and optimism.
as
right?
she
This
gets
year,
into Sagittarius. Yeah, before
right?
we close the year.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
always think we're reflecting whatever is happening, or we are just mirrors of whatever's happening in the world. So I'm really happy with the faith, hope, and
Okay.
optimism. But what are you seeing in the astrology?
Yeah, you're the second person to ask me about that in the last 24 hours. Like, tell me, is the world going to be okay? What about the
Yes.
country?
Essentially, is the world going to be okay?
Um, yes, and
Okay.
so here's what I'll say about it. In 2025, and I will just bring up now the chart for Aquarius. I was just working on the Aquarius new moon.
Okay.
Um, lunar update, which should be live tomorrow on my YouTube channel. Hit the
Okay.
notification bell. We
We'll
tend to do
definitely
it
be looking out for that.
when I live stream. I tend to be in there live answering questions. So
Perfect.
here is the Aquarius new moon, January 29th. Here it is at the ninth degree of Aquarius. The truth about where we're at right now at humanity's inflection point is we're in for a lot of change, but it's
Yeah.
change in a good way.
Hmm.
As many of you know, um, in the last year, it was 2024 was a year of an unprecedented number of elections worldwide.
Yes.
I was listening to a statistic the other day that 70% of the results of those elections were that leadership was voted into governments worldwide. 70% of the governments are now anywhere on the spectrum of what could be considered dictatorship or
Hmm.
autocrat
Yep.
or fascist government regime.
Correct. Hmm.
With that being said, don't lose hope. Here's why. Believe that that is going to be, that's an outtake of Pluto and Capricorn.
Hmm.
Pluto was in Capricorn during the tail end of those elections. Pluto represents power, and this is the energy of Pluto here. Um, Power, fear, control, all those things that we talked about in Scorpionic energy as well,
Yeah.
governing planet of Scorpio. But where Pluto goes, power flows and follows. For 14 years, from 2008 until now, Pluto has been in the sign that represents governments, it represents institutions,
Is it?
higher education, banks, insurance
Hmm.
institutions,
Hmm.
healthcare institutions, corporations. Pluto
Hmm.
has been in that sign since 2008 when we had the global economic
Right. Correct.
crisis, right?
Correct. Hmm.
Pluto tends to shake things up when he arrives in a sign, letting us know what things will happen while we are having Pluto in that sign. So at the beginning of Pluto in Capricorn, we saw that financial collapse. Here in the United States, we saw government use taxpayer dollars to hand it to the banks so that banks wouldn't collapse.
Correct.
Power going to institutions.
Hmm.
Pluto, as it arrived in Aquarius for first taste, first dip, summer of 2023, was strike summer. We saw worldwide protests unfold that had people taking to the streets to protest what they felt was either unfair or unequal treatment or pay in their work or inside of their country or their government. Then
Hmm.
Pluto retrograded back into Capricorn as we began 2024.
Right.
Then Pluto came forward, second taste in Aquarius. Both tastes, we had the writer's strike in Hollywood here in New York, as well, or
Right.
in
Hmm.
America, and the actor strike in Hollywood. What we saw with that was, and worldwide, we saw farmers take to the streets in India, across the EU to say the price we are getting for feeding these countries is not
Right.
fair. Too
Mhm.
much money is going, like we're getting suppressed for what we do. Too much money is going into the hands of institutions. As Pluto continues to move through and into Aquarius, Pluto, where Pluto goes, power flows, follows, and solidifies.
Got
Aquarius
you.
represents people, collectives,
Right.
revolutions,
Mhm.
unions. So as Pluto moves into Aquarius, we will see continued power amplify among these groups
Mhm.
as people take more of their power back from institutions. Okay.
Right.
Now, thankfully, we had only 14 years of Pluto in Capricorn, sign of corporate structure, big business. We now will have 20 years of Pluto in Aquarius.
Mhm.
So when you ask me, are we going to be okay in 2025? Because this looks precarious. You're right, it is precarious. Sometimes big change requires big action. And Pluto, in and of itself, does require an ending of the way one thing looks in order to resurrect a new thing, to build a new thing. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
Okay. So Pluto coming out here into Aquarius, and there are life changing planets and there are mood changing planets. So, mood changing planets, moon changing sign, Mercury changing signs, Venus, Mars changing signs. These planets, they're like rain in the middle of spring, or a windy day in the middle of spring, or will we have a sunny day in the middle of spring? But when the following planets change signs, it changes the whole season.
Right.
Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and hang on, there's another one, Chiron. When these five change signs, we change a whole season. Now, what's interesting is that these, you know, the thing I said about the 70% governments got voted in, that could be considered as dictatorship, oligarchy, or autocrat regime last
Mhm.
year. They
Yeah.
all came in while these planets were in the last sign. Now in 2025, all of these life changing planets in 1 year are going to change signs. Pluto's already ushered in and heralded in, this is what we're in for. People take
Mhm.
back
Mhm.
power.
Mhm.
Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Uranus in a 1 year time frame will all change signs to like at once. And this will usher in a new era for us collectively here on Earth. A very new
Mhm.
energy, a new frequency, something we've not seen before. So that we feel this sense of the earth groaning. We feel
Mhm.
this impending sense of upheaval. We feel internally this sense of impetus to change. It's natural, it's organic, it's what's supposed to be happening at this
Yeah.
time. And yeah, big change requires big action. So expect that the way things have always looked will not be the way things will continue to look, but that's not a bad thing. One of the things that those of us who are incarnate on earth right now, one of the things we've been built for is a great capacity to weigh show in moments of great change. If you're
Right.
here, that's part of who you are. Okay.
Perfect. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that because I did a channeled message from my main guy Janice yesterday
Mhm.
as part of an extended, and she was talking about twin flames holding space whilst the earth goes through its Tau moment. And she used the word Tau moment, and of course that's Plutonian energy. So everything that you've said regards to that made absolute sense to me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you for
If
that.
I, if you have just a hair more time, I'd love to like anchor, come back to the twin flame conversation.
Yes. Yes.
And I really want to anchor sort of the collective journey and give people a sense of what we all have to look forward to.
Perfect. Perfect. And as you switch charts, if you need to do that,
Yep.
Kate, you have a different channel for your lives?
I do.
Okay.
So I do something called live mini readings. And live mini readings, actually, I already created this chart. I don't need to create this one.
Mm,
Live mini readings are with me over at K Moon Live.
K Moon
At K,
Live.
yeah.
Mex, could you get K Moon Live link for me? Put it in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Max. I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to pull up the last major union window that we
Hmm.
had. Um, yeah, 2023. And then let me pull up 2028. That's the next one. Cool. Alrighty. Hang on one second. Edit that. I want to give it. um, so we have these micro union windows, and then we have major union windows. And so
Gotcha.
we come through a major one. And I talk about these over on my channel. So definitely subscribe over there if this is something of interest to you. And again, I really want to qualify how you're hearing what I'm about to say. Union windows do not guarantee union. And this doesn't mean you come together in a union window. And if you don't come together, it doesn't mean you won't come together. It means it charts the path of unobstructed energy and shows us how we can participate in calling forth that which is in the unseen realm, which is our connection into the seen realm, the 3D material world. The union windows show us how do we bring what's in the 5D into the 3D so that it's visible and experienceable. Okay. So January 23rd, 2023, we see Juno and Jupiter come together at the fourth degree of Aries. Okay. And right here, Aries is the sign of the self and the individual. This, every time we have a union window, it opens up a 1 year pull on either side. So January of 2022 through January of 2024 opens up a 1 year before and after pull between counterparts to turn and face the connection. These periods are intense periods of time where we're magnetized toward our counterpart, toward the connection. And as we begin to face it, turn toward it, lean into it, what surfaces is everything that stands between us and the connection becoming made material in the third dimensional world. Now, with the counterparts in the sign of Aries, from union window to union window, the next one will be in 2028. Everything between now and then, for us to move closer and closer and closer to union energy showing itself, requires Aries energy from us, Aries behavior from us. What's Aries energy and Aries behavior? Aries energy and Aries behavior is thank you so much, Max. I really appreciate that. And definitely use that code FIRST15 in order to get 15% off your first reading. Aries energy and Aries behavior, taking action, motivation, ambition. What are your ambitions beyond just being with your twin
Mm.
in the world, right? Additionally, Aries is the sign of the self. And so I like to call them an access point, but you could consider it a yellow brick road or a doorway that leads to union in the third dimension between now and the next union window, that's 2028. The yellow brick road, the access point, the doorway we have to walk through is Aries actions and behaviors. So this means union with self. Aries is the sign of the individual, the self. What are your ambitions? What actions do you need to take? What are you motivated to do? Aries is about motivation. Okay. The more you can lean into that union with self energy, as counterintuitive as it is, the more it lays the foundation and sets up the platform for union with your counterpart in the third dimension. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. Again, this stretch, January 22nd January of 2022 through January of 2024, you might have felt an intense pull in your connection. I want to show you where the next union window takes place.
Mhm.
Let me pull up that chart. Okay, new share. This is the 2028 union window.
Mhm.
So literally right about the time we get to November 11th, 2028. I know y'all like them double numbers, 1111. Here we have Juno and Jupiter together in the sign of Libra. That's the next time they come together.
Mhm.
They only come together roughly every 5 to 7 years, 6 to 8 years. The next time they do it is in the sign of Libra. The way we experience union at that time, union in Libra is union with a partner.
Mhm. Mhm.
Libra is our sign of partnership. So, partnership behaviors, partnership activities, learning how to be in partnership in healthy ways. So, the narrative arc is first, back, front, like this, the first access point that we just had was union with self. Then we go into a union with partner energy in 2028. Okay.
Mhm.
So, between now and then, we do this work where we lay our own foundation, create our own wholeness, create lives that are worthy of this love, that are an expression of this love. And then after that, we build this amplified sense of heaven on earth for ourselves. We come into sharing it with a counterpart in 2028. So, all of that to say, you're all right on track. Nobody's doing it wrong. If your counterpart is focused on themselves and their life and what they need to learn, it's a great instructional guide for what it is you're supposed to be doing right now as well. The stars, and in particular in your own individual chart, will point your personal way quarter to quarter, year to year, so that you know what it is you're supposed to be focused on. And they're guiding us, they're showing us here's how you personally get to your union based on your chart and your pathway. Once again, thank you all so much for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure. Really appreciate you hosting me, Made. It's been such a
Mhm.
treat to share both with your audience and mine. Thank you all who are watching in the future. If you need any of the information about how to find me, it'll be in the description box, and I'll see you over at K Moon Astro.
Hey, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys were lovely. Take care. Bye.